So Anthony Joshua knocks out Kubrat Pulev in the ninth round. It was a thoroughly good performance, He came in at 240, which was a couple of pounds heavier than he came in against Ruiz. And at this weight, I think he found a good balance between of explosiveness and having a decent engine, Pulev came and he was tough as nails, I don't know if you could say. I think he did definitely won a round in there. There was an argument. 2 rounds you could argue that he could have won. Round 5 he had a good round, and round 8 was a good round for him. But yeah, Anthony Joshua really did find the perfect perfection between being explosive and also boxing. And Dillian White said he was caught between styles, and I kind of have to agree, Kubrat Pulev changed his style. Usually he holds his left hand out to try and gauge a range, but he couldn't do that in this fight because he was short. He's about 6'4", 6'5", probably 6'4.5" with a 79-inch reach. So he couldn't do what he did against shorter opponents, and he couldn't gauge a range like he have done in the past. So he held a tighter guard in this fight, and for the most part, he was doing okay, But Anthony Joshua turned on a style a couple of times, like we've seen in the past when he knocked out guys like Charles Martin, Brazil Molina. And I'm going to talk about those later. And then after the third round, when he knocked him down twice, he went back to his boxing. Because, to be fair, it was set at a good pace, this fight. And I was thinking, the Ruiz fight was a very slow pace. And this fight was a much quicker pace. And even at this new slimmer build, he's still heavily bound muscle-wise. So I think, even at this lighter weight, he wouldn't be able to sustain what he's doing. The first round, very cautious by both guys, Second round, I was very impressed with AJ's hand speed, and we let off a good combo in the second round. Not too much effect, and credit where it's due, it was well defended by Pulev. But regardless of it landing or not, very good hand speed, and he showed at times decent foot speed, when he was letting off combinations. I do prefer this lighter Anthony Joshua. And I thought he fought excellent last night. However, he did show at times vulnerabilities, Kubrat Pulev landed occasionally the 1-2s, and occasionally looked unsure of himself. Mainly the 5th and 6th rounds, the middle rounds, I predicted before this fight 5-7. I thought there was going to be cagey first couple of rounds, Similarly to how the Povetkin fight went, I thought it was going to go similar to that. But credit to Kubrat Pulev, even though he got knocked down 4 times, he soaked up a couple of good shots, And Anthony Joshua is on the one-punch hitter like Deontay Wilder. You see his record, 22 KOs and 24 wins. And of late, when he stepped up for competition, he has been going a distance. So you Joseph Parker, you Andy Ruiz. And I'm going to go on to that later, because this is going to be more in depth. But in the middle ones, Kubrat Pulev found a good tempo where he was on the front foot. He had a tighter guard, and I did like, even though Anthony Joshua, even on some of the rest rounds, was winning, I like Kubrat Pulev's tactics in a way, and even though he didn't execute them, that was the best way for him to go, I believe. I don't know how else he would have done it, He wouldn't go to outbox Anthony Joshua, he just simply doesn't have the size and dimensions. And also credit to Pulev for coming in fight good shape. He came in excellent shape, and I think 239 is one of the lightest in his careers, you know. But yeah, after the KG part in the middle of a fight, we knocked him down twice, and I guess he wanted to have kind of a second win. To me, didn't seem like he had many problems with his fitness. I mean, he has had to change his style to suit his fitness lessons. He knows he doesn't have a gas tank. To, you know, go later into fights really at a high tempo, you know. And he done his explosiveness in the third round, and then he went more to boxing. And like I said, he looked unsure of himself, and there's still demons from our first Andy Ruiz fight. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future if we do see Anthony Joshua against shorter fighters, predominantly just clinching on the inside when they get in a certain range, you know, and the caution's applied. And Lennox Lewis was similar in his career, you know. Lennox Lewis had a knockout to Oliver McCall. And the differences between Anthony Joshua and Lennox Lewis were why he went straight into a rematch, you know. Straight back in with top 10 contenders, and Lennox Lewis had a few build-in fights. And I think we are going to see more of a boxer puncher rather than the outright puncher we've seen early on in his career. But I do think the casuals are not appreciating, you know, they're used to his explosiveness we were seeing when he defeated Charles Martin, Dominic Breazeale, Eric Molina. And let me explain to you, you know, you got Klitschko was a good fighter regardless of his age, you know, he came in good shape. Takam was durable. Parker, world champion. Povetkin, these are all good guys. Andy Ruiz only ever been dropped once. And Pulev, who you could argue is a top 10 fighter. These are all top 10 fighters, you know. And yes, we were used to him blasting out the lower level of position. Your Gary Cornishes, your Dillian Whites, back then anyway. Charles Martin, Breazeale, Molina. Martin, don't forget, won his belt off Dlachkov. Dlachkov was he was injured in that fight, so he won it off a technical stoppage. Charles Martin has got to be one of the worst heavyweight champions in history. Breazeale, slow but tough, you know, and that's where he was starting to go rounds. Molina shouldn't have got a title shot in my opinion. Very getting to the higher levels, so Klitschko, who was winning in that fight, in my opinion, you know. This is where he started creeping up in weight. Takam is heaviest, didn't look good in that fight at all. And Takam's a tough guy, you know. Parker, got a good chin, been down twice in his career, but only once really. And Povetkin's good skills. So when you look at his resume, you know, you can wonder why he's not been as explosive as he was in the past. Simply because the level of opponents have gone up, you know, and he is to rely more on his boxing skills, and he finally had the message that we were all calling for in the past. That simply he was getting way too muscle bound. I believe he's still too muscle bound, but at the high 240s just wasn't on, and I think Andy Ruiz Jr. loss was a good lesson, and it taught him and his team things. So I do like this, like the Joshua. Like I said, he's taken a higher level of opponents than he did in his early title reign, and even when he was a prospect coming up, you know, he is even in his early title reign, these weren't good fighters. I'm just being real with you. Charles Martin, like I said, worst heavyweight champion. And he's taking a step up. And this is why he's going a distance more. The casuals don't like it. It's up to them what they think. But I also feel like some of them are being unfair in criticism, you know, and they're not appreciating real boxing. Like, a lot of people got bored by Ruiz Jr., but I think you're rightful to say in a Pulev fight the demons are not over. But it was a good performance, an educated performance, and I like the fact that he is being both the boxer puncher, the mix between being lighter than he was, but being explosive at the same time. I was very impressed, as I've said earlier, about Pulev, the condition he came in, and you have to come in good condition to take shots like that, you know. Pulev, I don't know what his mental thoughts were coming into the fight, his mentality, but he was a natter, you know. Every shot that landed, or every serious shot that landed, he was just smiling, you know, and even at the end of the fight, he was shouting at Joshua. So, yeah, I don't know. He was like Gargan's kitch going away, or when he got up after a knockdown and went on one leg, like holding his leg up. So, in these serious fights, he's always been a bit his mentality changes, you know, much more serious, trying to get under the opponent's skin. So yeah, in all, it was a good performance. Now, the fight we all want to see is Tyson Fury. Apologise. We want to see Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury. Do I believe it will happen next? No. Do I want it to happen next? Yes. Let me tell you why. The WBO president put out on Twitter that they're going to honour their contract, or whatever terminology he used, whatever phrase he used. They are not budging, and if Anthony Joshua is serious about being undisputed, which I feel he is, he's going to take the Usyk fight next. Not to say that he's ducking Fury at all, because I don't believe he is. A lot of casuals have got the opinion that he doesn't want to fight Fury because he doesn't mention him. If he's serious about being undisputed, and let me say my opinion, I would love Fury and Joshua to be undisputed. But really, from the casual perception, belts don't make it. They don't need the fight could have no belts on the line at all, and it would still be a massive fight. But I think he's being very serious about being undisputed, so that's why I feel like he's going to fight Usyk next. That is a tricky fight, and I love that fight. I feel like you got two great gold medalists fighting, bruh. The ref done a decent job. I thought he was going to do an awful job. From North, I've never seen him ref any noticeable fights. He's South African, you know, a couple of Couten Dokwa fights he's refed. Couten Dokwa being challenger to Demetrius Andrade for a vacant WBO back in the late end of 2018. What do I think of the Fury fight? Well, let me go back to what I was going to say I was mentioning now. Kubrat Pulev in round 5. An occasional few times around the fight landed the quick 1-2, you know. And I feel like Anthony Joshua's upper body movement is still quite stationary. And I feel like with Fury's new Kronk style, with added height, the length, the reach, and the added weight, he's a big guy, Tyson Fury, naturally big, and like Joshua really 16 off stone without the pumped up weights, you know. I just think Fury has got it in him to stop him. I really do, because Pulev was landing left and right, yeah. And like I said, he added length, he added weight, he added size and everything. And the Kronk style in particular, the aggressive front foot Kronk style, Joshua's going to have to... I think he's going to have to come in light for our fight, because I've noticed Fury down the stretch is tired, and I feel like the weight loss was the impact in the first Wilder fight, but I don't feel like the Wallen fight is the excuse for that. He tired in a stretch and Wallen fight, and the Wallen actually hurt him in the last round. So I think Joshua's gonna have to come in light, like the Andy Ruiz first fight. And not necessarily to be explosive, they're both fast heavyweights. Fury is exceptionally quick. I do think Fury will win, but I'm not ruling out Joshua. It's not a definite, and if you put a gun to my head, I'd say Fury would win, but I really don't know. But I think it's false perception created by some casuals that Joshua doesn't want any part of Fury. And I'm telling you for a fact now, if I'm right, and if Joshua fights Usyk next, because he doesn't want to lose a WBO, I can see casuals saying that he doesn't want any part of Fury. So we'll see, guys, and yeah, so thank you for watching. Good performance by Joshua. Goes to 24-1 with 22 KOs now. Still looking a bit vulnerable, but that's what makes him box office. The vulnerability, the explosiveness. Can punch hard, Joshua can, and maybe not as hard as Wilder, but the vulnerability does make him a good fight to watch. And throughout that fight, you had a sense of caution, you had a sense of tenseness. So hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below what you thought, and I shall see you in the next video.